Chapter 4 of the Arabian Nights Entertainments. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Ellie. The Arabian Nights Entertainments by Andrew Lang. Chapter 4 The Story of the Second Old Man and of the Two Black Dogs. Great Prince of the Genii, you must know that we are three brothers, these two black dogs and myself. Our father died, leaving each of us 1,000 sequins. With this sum we all three took up the same profession and became merchants. A short time after we had opened our shops, my eldest brother, one of these two black dogs, resolved to travel in foreign countries for the sake of merchandise. With this intention he sold all he had and bought merchandise suitable to the voyages he was about to take. He set out and was away a whole year. At the end of this time a beggar came to my shop. "Good day," I said. "Good day," he answered. "Is it possible that you don't recognize me?" Then I looked at him closely and saw he was my brother. I made him come into my house and asked him how he had fared in his enterprise. "Do not question me," he replied. "See me, you see all I have. It would but renew my trouble to tell you of all the misfortunes that have befallen me in a year, and have brought me to this state." I shut up my shop, paid him every attention, taking him to the bath, giving him the most beautiful robes. I examined my accounts and found that I had doubled my capital, that is, that I now possessed 2,000 sequins. I gave my brother half, saying, "Now, brother, you can forget your losses." He accepted with joy, and we lived together as we had before. Some time afterwards my second brother wished also to sell his business and travel. My eldest brother and I did all we could to dissuade him, but it was of no use. He joined the caravan and set out. He came back at the end of a year in the same state as his elder brother. I took care of him, and as I had 1,000 sequins to spare, I gave them to him, and he reopened his shop. One day my two brothers came to me to propose that we should take a journey and trade. At first I refused to go. "You traveled," I said, "and what did you gain?" But they came to me repeatedly, and after having held out for 5 years, I at last gave way. But when they had made their preparation, and they began to buy the merchandise we needed, they found they had spent every piece of the 1,000 sequins I had given them. I did not reproach them. I divided my 6,000 sequins with them, giving 1,000 to each and keeping one for myself, and the other 3 I buried in a corner of my house. We bought merchandise, loaded a vessel with it, and set forth with a favorable wind. After 2 months' sailing we arrived at the seaport, where we disembarked and did a great trade. Then we bought the merchandise of the country, and were just going to sail once more when I was stopped on the shore by a beautiful though poorly dressed woman. She came up to me, kissed my hand, and implored me to marry her and take her on board. At first I refused, but she begged so hard and promised to be such a good wife to me that at last I consented. I got her some beautiful dresses, and after having married her, we embarked and set sail. During the voyage I discovered so many good qualities in my wife that I began to love her more and more. But my brothers began to be jealous of my prosperity, and to set to work to plot against my life. One night when we were sleeping, they threw my wife and myself into the sea. My wife, however, was a fairy, and she did not let me drown, but transported me to an island. And when the day dawned, she said to me, "When I saw you on the seashore, I took a great fancy to you, and wished to try your good nature. So I presented myself in the disguise you saw. Now I have rewarded you by saving your life. But I am very angry with your brothers, and shall not rest till I have taken their lives." I thanked the fairy for all that she had done for me, but I begged her not to kill my brothers. I appeased her wrath, and in a moment she transported me from the islands where we were to the roof of my house, and she disappeared a moment afterwards. I went down and opened the doors, and dug up the 3,000 sequins which I had buried. I went to the place where my shop was, opened it, and received from my fellow merchants congratulations on my return. When I went home, I saw 2 black dogs who came to meet me with sorrowful faces. I was much astonished, but the fairy who reappeared said to me, "Do not be surprised to see these dogs, they are your 2 brothers. I have condemned them to remain for 10 years in these shapes." Then having told me where I could hear news of her, she vanished. The 10 years are nearly past, and I am on the road to find her, as in passing I met this merchant and the old man with the hind, and I stayed with them. This is my history, O Prince of Genii. Do you not think it is a marvelous one?" "Yes, indeed," replied the genius, "and I will give up to you 1/3 of the merchant's punishment." Then the third old man made the genius the same request as the other two had done, and the genius promised him the last third of the merchant's punishment if his story surpassed both the others. So he told his story to the genius, but I cannot tell you what it was, as I do not know. But I do know that it was even more marvelous than either of the others. So the genius was astonished, and said to the third old man, I will give up to you the third part of the merchant's punishment. You ought to thank all three of you for having interested yourselves in his favor. But for you, he would be here no longer. So saying, he disappeared, to the great joy of the company. The merchant did not fail to thank his friends, and then each went on his way. The merchant returned to his wife and children, and passed the rest of his days happily with them. But sire, added Scheherazade, however beautiful are the stories I have just told you, they cannot compare with the story of the fisherman. End of chapter 4. Recording by Ellie, August 2009.